Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today in this video I am covering black pill history and what it means for all of us in this present time in history, this tumultuous and turbulent time. So this is a meme I made a while ago. The chart is efficiency, wealth, happiness, and freedom. Now these are just not numerical, they're kind of a general measurement of the era. So you have 1880 where it starts. This is well into the Industrial Revolution. I believe the steam engine was 1840 or something like that, 1850, which really changed the whole world. Once we invented the steam engine, life would never be the same again. So then you have mechanization of industry. You have the incredible wealth, explosion of wealth in the United States. We always had a great deal of freedom, and that's what really made it all possible. But the wealth and the efficiency of society saw an unprecedented rise. This is unlike any time in history. Obviously, this should be no surprise to people. But what is a surprise to people is this. Our old friend Bahamut and the Illuminati. So, I'm not sure where the Freemasons stand on this. This is the Eye of Providence. It is a Freemason symbol. I would be very upset with the Freemasons to find that they are behind central banking, because central banking is really the scourge of mankind. It is the scourge of modern society, and it has caused a great deal of corruption and death and heartache. So anyway, moving forward, you have gold, which is a form of stability. It stabilizes the economy, and when the economy is stabilized, people can only get returns on investment by producing real wealth and by producing real things like electricity and cars and machine shops and housing and farms and all this fun stuff that increases the pie, right? It increases the general total wealth of society. But then we have central banking. Central banking inherently destabilizes financial markets. The Roaring Twenties was created by a huge influx of paper money, which previously did not exist. Prior to 1913, paper money did not exist at all. It was only gold and silver coins, physical gold and silver coins. The S for the dollar sign, a lot of you don't know this, but the S in the dollar sign stands for silver. That's why it's an S. You look at the S and you say, what the hell does this, why is there an S here? What does this mean? It literally stands for silver, because the definition of a dollar for 140 years was 28 grams of silver, or I think 28 grams of sterling silver, something like that. As a physical amount of silver was the definition of a dollar. Now, what is the definition of a dollar? The definition of a dollar now is a dollar. It's just this recursive thing, right? It has nothing underneath it. It's just floating in thin air. So anyway, the Great Depression was caused by the central bank destabilizing the financial markets. And obviously the government, very good at what it does, problem, reaction, solution, right? Have you heard of this? The problem was the central banking, right, causing the Great Depression. The reaction is the government saying, oh no, we have to step in and do something. And the solution, of course, is making gold illegal. Owning gold was made a felony in 1933 by FDR, who was a terrible president. I have a soft spot for Social Security, I really do. But making owning gold a felony is unexcusable. It is absolutely unexcusable. And during this time, there was a quasi-socialist revolution during this time. and a lot of capitalists were disappeared. Despite creating more wealth than has ever existed before and more technology than has ever existed before, the capitalists were painted as the enemy, the system was painted as the enemy, and of course the government has to save the day by taking over business, taking over the currency, consolidating power, and look at where that led us, right here. Culminating with the atomic bomb. We hit rock bottom for happiness, freedom, all that stuff. There was just a hit to the efficiency, which is the blue, because Europe was destroyed and all of that stuff. But, you know, the United States survived. Their physical technology survived. But freedom, wealth, all that stuff, completely demolished. Like, we went from... Notice we went from the greatest period of industrial expansion and wealth that the world and humanity has ever known in 30 years time, maybe 40 years time. And then this happens right here. And we go straight down to World War II, the greatest war the world has ever seen. 45 million dead. Europe in shambles. And I'm not even counting World War I. World War I was just a warm-up to World War II, but the causes were the same. We have another meme here. It's a brief history of communism, which just goes over what I'm talking about now, but in bullet points. And right here, the socialist parties of Germany, France, Belgium, and Britain all supported World War I. And the Nazis were the National Socialist Workers' Party, and the USSR was the United Soviet Socialist Republic. And we had FDR. We had FDR in the United States, and he was a proud socialist. And then in the same era in Congress, Congress put up the fasces, which is a fascist symbol, which is still there today. You can look it up on both sides of Congress as our giant fascist symbols. So the United States became a fascist socialist government as well during that same era. But we don't like to talk about it. We don't like to talk about it. The schools don't like to talk about it because it's kind of ugly, isn't it? It's ugly, but it's the truth, and it's the world we live in, so it's something we have to be aware of. This whole hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, that's bullshit. That's evil taught you that. Evil taught you to do that because that's exactly what evil wants to happen. Don't talk about it. So, where were we? Gold standard, rise of authoritarian dictatorships, yep. Oh, 85 million dead in World War II. I'm sorry, I was off by a factor of 2. So yeah, Berlin split. You had the West and East Berlin. Build the Berlin Wall. Defectors of the USSR were murdered at the Berlin Wall, just shot dead. The Cold War, 30-year Cold War. Berlin destroyed. The entire world celebrated when the USSR fell. Everyone was like glad that this nightmare was finally over. 1 month after the Berlin Wall fell, the USSR dissolved itself. And then we have 1990 to 2016. We have the United States political elites trying to create a new world order, one world communist government. Trump was elected on an anti-globalism campaign. And now we have today our genius millennials are rising up in support of the top 0.01% elites, in support of a one world communist government and the New World Order, and in support of Marxism, which has completely destroyed the entire economy in the entire world, essentially. And when Trump says, "Make America Great Again," this is what he's talking about, right here. A lot of people might not know it, but that's the dirty secret. He's talking about the Gilded Age. And gilded means ornate. It means excessively ornate or excessively beautiful. And people think it's some kind of loaded word. It's some kind of scary word. absurd. It's absurd. So, moving on, we have post-World War II era. And the hippies. Hippies are great. I love hippies. And we have freedom going up. Freedom's steadily rising. You have LSD, you have mushrooms, all these beautiful, beautiful things. People smoking weed at Woodstock. And our efficiency is decreasing, though. Right? Our efficiency is slowly chugging down. But our wealth is returning after World War II. And then we have Nixon. Nixon, you son of a bitch. The war on drugs is really, it's part of the New World Order. The war on drugs is a very important part of the New World Order because it's mind control. The communists and the government took over the airwaves with the FCC. The entire point of the FCC is to make all television communications illegal except for the 3 government channels. You might be familiar with them. NBC, ABC, and CBS. Yes, sir. All government, all CIA, all propaganda. So, all New World Order propaganda. So then you have Mao dying in China, and you have the rise of Deng Xiaoping. Very important man. Look him up on Wikipedia. He essentially opened up China to free markets, to private property, and they started special economic zones, which were one city at a time, because the communists were very afraid of the idea of private property. China used to be extremely, extremely communist. So he opened them up to the idea of prices, markets, technology, capitalism, private property. And the rest is history for China. They are much, much wealthier than we are today. A person once asked me, when do you think China is going to be richer than the United States? And I said, I don't know, 1990, 1995, around there. Maybe 2005 at the absolute latest. But at this point, man, we are nowhere near their wealth. Trust me. GDP is fake. GDP is bullshit, part of the New World Order. It needs to be thrown out as soon as possible. So here, let me tell you about GDP. When you pay taxes, it gets counted as GDP. When you pay rent, it gets counted as GDP. When you go to that fake career, that gets counted as GDP. So it's just money just circling, just money circling the drain, doing nothing, accomplishing nothing, generating nothing. So yeah, GDP is just inflation and just fake business activity. That's all it is. And we're number 1 at that. Go America. USA, USA. So anyway, this business is going to China right here, right? Out of business. Everything's being moved to China. We have Windows 96, total game changer. Actually, Windows 95 was that is Windows 95. I'm an idiot. Windows 95, complete game changer. That pretty much that was pretty much the start of the digital age for most people. There's probably a few Unix nerds here, so fuck you nerds. But yeah, I kind of started my digital life at Windows 95. Cell phones, obviously, the New World Order. This is when they were kind of their strongest, actually, around the year 2000 with Bush. It was a very weird time to be alive. These Zoomers have no idea. The mind control was heavy. It was thick. You could cut it with a knife. It was heavy. It was pervasive. It was everywhere. Nothing like it is today. I'm actually pretty happy and pretty optimistic with how things are headed in that regard. It's the best of times. It's the worst of times, right? The tale of two cities. So here we have feminism, Facebook, Pepe, Make America Great Again. And then we have the rise of Marxism in the United States. Now notice, and of course Yang. This is our two futures. We have Marxism or we have Yang bucks. You see, which one do you want? Do you want the increasing freedom, the increasing wealth, or do you want to go down to the pit, to the mass graves? The mass graves in poverty. Tough call. I don't know. It's hard to say which one. So you will notice that the Marxists pop up after Trump is elected. the Marxists have always been with us since before the central bank was created. Central banking is a pillar of Marxism, and the graduated progressive income tax is a pillar of Marxism, both of which were created at the exact same time in 1913. And Marxism was sweeping across Europe at that time. So Marxists have really probably been around since the year 1900, or even earlier in Europe. So why are they showing up in 2016, 2017? Because they're desperate, they're scared. Donald Trump was never supposed to win. Hillary was supposed to be president. She was supposed to bring us into the New World Order. They did not expect Windows 95 and Facebook to do this to them. You see, the Russian bots snuck up on them. So, yeah, arcology is making America great again. Arcology is the new Gilded Age. That's what this is. That's what this is all about. I don't know if you knew that, but a lot of people know that. And now you know. And yeah, it really clarifies everything. And the reason that the Marxists have been hiding for 100 years is because they know what they're doing is evil. They know what they're doing is destructive. It's a power game. It's the classic world domination, right? A tale as old as time. And they're not going to come out and say their ideology. They're not going to come out and debate their ideology because they know they're going to lose. If you remember in 2017, 2018, there was a very big debate on free speech. And guess who came out against free speech? Well, of course, the Marxists did. The left-wing progressives did, because they can't allow free speech because they know they're going to lose. Truth is not on their side. Truth always wins. Morality always wins. So that's why Marxists are always against free speech. Marxists are always against religion, because they can't allow truth and they can't allow morality. And religion is morality, and free speech is truth. So this is where we're at. It's quite the heady meme, even though there's no numbers and there's no citations beyond some pictures. But this is the truth of things. This is where we are at, and this is and my channel shows you where we're headed. And you know, you can mix it up a little bit. It's not set in stone. There's a lot of room for personal flexibility and personal preferences. I mean, you can do a lot with the social contract to make it more left-wing if you'd like. If Portland wants to turn itself into a city-state and adjust my social contract, you know, so be it. Brett Weinstein, I think he'd be a very good candidate. I think he would love doing it, and shout out to Brett. Yeah, I mean, you know, this is what the future should be. If you read the 10th Amendment, that's how the Constitution was written. It was written to be a decentralized, minarchist government, and that's exactly what we had for 140-ish years of this country. And once again, once the steam engine was invented, once electricity was invented, it really was, you know, we were at the races at that point for building wealth and building fortunes and living an untold amount of prosperity. And all we have to do is get back to that culture. We have to get back to that mindset. It really is all about the mindset. It really is all about the culture. So, here is a church that was built in the Gilded Age. This is not a special church. This is in the middle of a middle-class residential neighborhood. And it was built for, I believe, $300,000 at the time. Something like that. Now, if you look at the craftsmanship, it is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And you might ask yourself, how the hell is this possible? Well, I'll tell you. When you have freedom, when you have this culture, right? You don't have tax and spend. There's no tax and spend. The cost of living is extremely low. And you have people who are artisans, people who are craftsmen, and that's their entire life, is they just go around, they walk around and they make beautiful art, and they hone their skills, and they hire apprentices, and the apprentices start when they're 12, because there's no rules. This is freedom. You could get an apprentice when you're 12 years old. By the time the guy is 30, he could build this, or 35, right? So, and that's it. That's your whole life. Like, you just go to work every day and make art. You go to work every day and build a church. And your bills are so low and products are so cheap that your wife doesn't have to work either. She just stays home with the kids, or she brings all the kids to work, and there's no public school, so you could even have kids at the work site being educated by the craftsmen. And this is your life. Like, it is so far outside of what we're used to. It is so far outside of the New World Order that we can't even comprehend such a thing. Just children playing and being educated about making molds and stonework and form and angles and archways and painting techniques and practicing painting and laying mosaic tile, right? I mean, what else would you do? You have your wife has all day every day free. Your children have all day every day free, and the craftsmen can work at their own pace. I mean, there's no hurry. There's no rush for anything. All you have to worry about is utilities and food. That's really all you have to worry about, and it's just such an easy lifestyle. Like, look at this one. Also 1902. I mean, you know, we can't even build houses for our children anymore. And we had this 120 years ago. It's a tragedy what we've done to ourselves, to each other, to this whole country. But that all can change, and maybe I don't think we can aspire to this maybe in my lifetime, but I think the Zoomers certainly can. I don't know. We'll see, right? We have very big shoes to fill to get back to where we once were. And this generation, the generation of the Gilded Age, is really, I think, the one to aspire to, just based on this. This is why the New World Order destroys historic buildings. This is why the New World Order wants to erase the past. And buildings and churches are a sign of who we once were. They are a relic of a culture and a psychology and a political system that is long since dead, but it lives on in their great works. So look at the inscriptions on this building, which is the building of ethnology. It says, The weakest among us has a gift. Speak to the earth, and it shall teach thee. And hath made, I think this says us, probably behind the statue, and hath made us one blood, all nations of men. So, the quality of this photo is amazing as well. This photographer really had his equipment dialed in. Film, believe it or not, was better than digital up until recently. So, as long as you get the focus right and you got some good equipment. But, this is what we could have in archaeology. This could be your neighborhood. All of this is possible. And obviously we would not get it right on our first try, I assume. There would be some prototypes working out the kinks. But with digital sculpting, with CNC machines, with enough capital at our fingertips, we could have machinery assist us. We could have the digital age assist us, and we could match or exceed this level of beauty in our lived environment. And people say capitalism was the Gilded Age was brutal. Everyone was poor. There was smog everywhere. The world was disgusting and racist. And this is a story that was created by the Marxists. This was a story that was created by the Socialists, by the New World Order. It's simply not true, and we can return to this era of greatness. This was a time of mechanization of agriculture, which freed humanity from its sustenance farming ways and its sustenance farming era. And everything you see here is a celebration of that freedom. And what have we done with that freedom? We've given it away to the tax man, to the embezzling politician, to the mediocrity of collectivism. And, if you identify with the collective, if you identify as mediocre, that's fine. You don't have to be an artist. You don't have to be a sculptor. All you have to do is let the artists and let the sculptors fulfill their dreams and live their dreams and create the vision that they want to see, and create their own little paradise. And then you get to live that paradise. All you have to do is let go of envy, let go of jealousy, let go of equality, because we're not all equal, and that's okay. Some of us want to, watch football, and you're free to do so. There will be football in our archaeology, as you've noticed. Some people want to, get fat, and that's okay. If that's what you want to do with God's gift, you're free to do that with God's gift. There was a great meme with what's his face, the guy from Parks and Rec. Oh, I forgot his name. Ron Swanson, that said that. Anyway, I'm getting off track. This is by their fruit you shall know them, right? Well, this is the fruit, and compare it to what the government has given us. And just some more wise words from the past. Knowledge begins in wonder, and Nothing that is human is alien to me. Pretty interesting. A lot of what I believe in, my scary ideology, is that which has already been done. It's a return to the past. And if it worked then, there's no reason it'll work now. The only thing holding us back is culture and psychology. We have more science now than they did. We have more technology now than they did. They just saw the explosion of science and the foundation of the industrial age. They built the foundation of the industrial age. And that's what allowed them to build this. We can build even bigger, and we can build even better, and we can have a paradise on Earth, because Earth is a paradise, ultimately. We just haven't realized it yet. We need to realize it very, very soon, or else we could find ourselves living in hell. And some of you watching this video might be saying to yourself, what about the inequality? What about the wealth inequality? And my answer is, I don't really care. I honestly don't really care. Because a rising tide lifts all boats. This was an era where there was no homelessness, because we built massive amounts of housing. There was lumber flying in from all sides. We had old growth forests as far as the eye can see, which have mostly been cut down now. The population was much lower. The food prices were plummeting from tractors and mechanization and industrialization. So no one was hungry, no one was homeless. Today, you have laborers, you have working class people who dream of owning a tiny house today. And do you complain about the wealth inequality? No, because you're on the winning side of that equation, so you have no problem with that today. Even though by every metric possibly measurable, things were unbelievably better for everyone back then. This envy, this jealousy of inequality is what has destroyed everything you see in front of you. It has been the destruction of our society. It has enabled the corruption, the tax embezzlement, the war criminals, the New World Order madness that has suffocated all of us for decades. We've wasted a lot of people watching this video have wasted their entire lives serving the New World Order. And for what? A huge ass mortgage that they probably can barely pay due to COVID, or a house and a car barely. And look at how many people get left behind. Look at how many people get crushed by the system. And they're uneducated. They have drug issues. They are mentally ill. These are all dehumanization techniques. Because you don't want to blame the system. You don't want to blame the government. You don't want to blame socialism. So you have to blame the victim. That's what that is. It's victim blaming. But archaeology can change all of that by returning to savings and production and capitalism. Our cup will spilleth over once we start building hexagons, and once we bring down the price of rent and the price of housing and the price of food and the price of utilities and the price of energy. If we build enough archaeologies, gasoline itself could be 75 cents a gallon. And then the price of steel will come down, and the price of food will come down, and I have a lot of plans for the future, as you know. And I hope our future looks a lot like the past. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, a world without end. Amen. If you want to see a new and better world come to fruition, as I do, then like, share, and subscribe. You can find an incredible amount of math, knowledge, and 3D renders by clicking on the channel name. And remember, we need you to help spread this vision across the internet for all to see and become familiar with. Let us build this new world together.